Hi there, I'm Nancy Herring from Now We're Cooking. It's Tuesday and it's time for tips, tricks, and treats. Today is Cinco de Mayo, so we're not doing any celebratory things for that because you're probably out partying and you'll watch this later. However, Mother's Day is this Sunday. And what I am going to do is make some scones that I'll show you how to do them. They're very easy. It's kind of a scone formula that you can adapt how you choose, because it might be fun to make mom breakfast and do bacon and eggs, which are pretty basic, and scones, or just do scones and jelly, or take her for a picnic or whatever. But scones are the deal. So what I already have in my bowl is 2 cups of flour, a half a cup of granulated sugar, 2.5 teaspoons of baking powder, and a half a teaspoon salt. And I'm just gonna mix that up a little bit. The fat in these is butter, and this is something that I've been laughing since I've been doing this. You grate the butter, and because I didn't want to grate it in front of you, because it's just, they suggest a box grater. I don't have a box grater, so I used a flat grater. Well, it looks a little bit like mozzarella cheese, but it's grated butter. And the reason you make sure your stick of butter is frozen. It's 1 stick of butter, because it's obviously going to grate a lot better frozen. But the reason you try and keep this cold as you go is when the cold butter and the hot oven meet, the water inside the butter steams up and makes a little flakiness to your scone. And that's why you do it that way. And I have some in the oven, and let me turn them around real fast. I'll show you those in a minute. I'm smelling them, that's why I need to do this. Okay, so what I have in here is the dry mixture and the butter. And just with my fingers, I'm gonna mix it. And they always say you want it to be about the size of peas. Well, you do what you can. There was one little bigger piece of butter, because as I grated, I got down to some that I just couldn't grate without grating my fingers. You can use a pastry blender for this step. You can use 2 forks. You can use 2 knives. I do better with my fingers, because I can kind of feel and mush whatever butter lumps might be in there and incorporate them with the dry mixture. Now, if I didn't have everything pre-done, I would stick this back in the refrigerator or the freezer while I was doing the wet ingredients. But I don't need to do that because my wet ingredients are right there. So this is combined, and now my wet ingredients are a half a cup of heavy cream, an egg, and vanilla, and I did not put any vanilla in there. You can take this recipe and adapt it many different ways, which I'll tell you how I've done it. So I put vanilla in all of my options that I've done, but then I've added other flavorings as well. So this one's just going to be straight up plain. I'm not doing any mix-ins, as a lot of people call them. So I just want to get this combined. Now this I learned on accident. We're very dry in New Mexico. You probably knew that. And so I'm going to pour this over here, and I'm going to let it sit for a minute before I mix it up. And that allows the flour to start hydrating. And I think it made a difference from the one I did this morning and the one that I did in the middle of the day, so we'll see. So I am going to just give it a little bit of a stir and then let it sit. And I'm going to talk to you about mixing. Talk to you about a couple things. When you measure flour for something like this, they refer to it as the fill and scoop method. So instead of just dipping in and scraping off, I'm going to use a spoon, or you need to use another vessel, and fill your measure cup. And you overfill it, and then you take a straight edge and you do it. You shake it off. And you don't tap this, and you don't put it down and do this, because you'll get a little bit different amount of flour. So that's what they're talking about. These containers are really nifty. They have a built-in, with a magnet, a built-in scraper across the top. Sugar's pretty easy. You just put in and measure. On your leavening agent, if you don't know how old your baking powder is, check it. And there's a date on the bottom that says when it expires. And I usually date it when I opened it, so I'll know. So those are just some things to consider. So I used heavy cream, which is right here. So this got to sit a little bit. What I want to do is mix this together. It kind of is a very, very shaggy dough. If you get this far and you can't get it all mixed in and you think it is just too darn dry, then you're going to add a little bit more cream, a tablespoon or so. If you think it's way too wet, then you'd add a tablespoon or so of flour. But what I want to do, you never use a mixer on something like this because you don't want it totally incorporated. You want the butter bits there, you want all of this there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little more scraping. I scrape with my fingers, which is not a bad way to do it, but then I get too much goo on my fingers. So it's coming together pretty nicely, and I want to just keep going. I could dump it out onto my mat right now, but I want to get it a little bit more mixed. When it says add-ins, I did some earlier, and I used slivered almonds, and I put some almond extract in. The ones in the oven, I put chopped pecans, and I put maple flavoring and a little maple syrup, so kind of for a maple pecan flavoring. Mini chocolate chips would be good. Something like blueberries or something like that would be good. I was playing around with lemon poppy seed, but I didn't have any fresh lemons. If I was going to do lemon poppy seed, I would want lemon zest, and I didn't have any fresh lemons. So kind of think about scones that you've tasted before. Think about flavors that you like. If I was doing fresh fruit, I would add them at the last minute, because you wouldn't want your blueberries to be, you wouldn't want to make them your scones totally blue. So it's pretty well combined. So with my fingers, now this is when I can have a couple options. I want triangular scones. I don't want to drop the dough. You can do drop scones where you just take a scoop, like a cookie scoop, and drop it. That's not what I want to do. But I don't want to make giant scones, I discovered. So I'm going to make 2 scone circles, if you will. So I'm going to gather the dough together. I don't know if you can see, my pastry mat has, just kind of cool, has a ruler on it, so I can kind of see. And I'm going to do, if I was doing the giant ones, I would make 1 big round of dough. I don't know if you can see. Am I getting in the wrong places here? Okay, that's for the ones that are in the oven. Let's see what we think about those. They certainly smell good. Oh yeah. So these are the maple pecans I did. I'll bring them over. And I did 2 rounds and divided them, and you can see I was not the most even division there, and I put them on a silpat. So they raised up, they're just yummy. I put a little bit of cream on the top and a little sugar to give it a little crunch. So these may be a little darker than they should have been, but that's okay. So with this, I'm going to take this and I'm going to divide it into 8ths. And this way I'll have nice little pocket-sized scones. We do sell a couple of scone pans. One does the big circles, one does smaller triangles. So if you're not comfy doing it like this, you can certainly do that. Use a pan. The dough's very, very soft. And I'm going to do them back to back. And then, after I do the second one, I'm going to put them in the fridge. Or actually, I'm going to put them in the freezer because I have room in the freezer. Because again, the colder the dough is, the fluffier and flakier the scones will be. If you wanted to do savory scones, you could put green chili and cheese. You could put any of those kind of flavorings and serve them maybe as a side with a salad or a soup. So it doesn't have to be a sweet, and they don't have to be giant. So that's up to you. So this last little bit, you can see that the flour did not incorporate as well, but that's okay because I'm going to dump it out and knead it together with my hands. I don't want to play too much with it. That's also why I'm not using a rolling pin, because I don't want to smoosh anything down. I want to keep it as tall and as flaky as I can get them. So my other circle, I can use my dough scraper and tuck them in or not. And again, you could use a cookie cutter, but I just think this is so easy. And if you wanted them bigger, just do them in fourths. Don't do them in eighths. Know your audience, know how many people you need to feed, how big eaters they are, and like that little bit just popped out the bottom, that's okay. I'm just gonna tuck it right back in. So there, it's fairly forgiving, but you don't want to overwork it, is the way they always say it. So, smoosh that one in there. And then you can brush the top with cream, and then you can, I think I have a pastry brush, and then put a little sugar on it. And that just, that's not a step that's absolutely necessary, but it gives them a little shiny and it gives them a little crunch. And you can do this before or after you put them in the fridge. And again, the reason to put them in the fridge, you only need to do it maybe 10-15 minutes, but you can leave them longer if you need to, and then they'll be that much flakier. So the dough comes together very quickly once you have everything together. It's not any unusual ingredients, and the mix-ins can be whatever your taste buds desire. So this does not have a shaker top, so I'm just gonna do some sprinkling. I have made the mistake of using colored sugar sometimes on these. Didn't look pretty, I didn't think, when it came out. I was like, yeah, that was probably not a good idea. So I've gone with white. You could use just granulated sugar. This is a coarser sugar that we sell that they refer to as, they just call it sparkling sugar. It just makes a nice little bit. So instead of, I'm not gonna put them, should I bake them now or should I put them in the fridge? What do you think?
Put them in the oven.
Okay, we are gonna bake them right now while we're here, so you won't get to see the finished results, but you could. So, what I want to show you, you really can't tell by looking at them what the difference is, but I did the larger ones that were the, and I'll open one so you can see, they're almond, and I just put slivered almonds, and I put almond extract, and then these were the maple pecan, and I chunked up pecans, and I gotta taste these. Those are very good. So what you do with these, besides just pop them in your mouth as fast as you can, butter, jam, and if you have it or you can get it, clotted cream. And if you can't find clotted cream, whip up some whipping cream and just dunk them in that. But they're very flaky, they're very tender, and Mom would love it if you made her breakfast and scones for Mother's Day. So, now we're cooking. I'm talking with my mouth full. We're at the northeast corner of Academy in Wyoming. We are open, that was a long time ago. Paseo in Wyoming. We are open 11 to 4, Monday through Saturday. Mother's Day is this Sunday. We'd love to help you out, get Mom what she wants for Mother's Day. Got a lot of options out there. And if nothing else, make her some scones. So we thank you very much. We hope to see you again, and thanks for watching. Bye now.